Thanks everyone for joining in today. My name is Purvish and I'll be your host for this webinar. Uh, Today's discussion is on the topic of who's liable when AI breaks. Uh, as we've all been experiencing, AI systems are no longer just co-pilots or experiments. They're now in production, making recommendations, handling workflows, interacting with customers, processing sensitive information, and also taking autonomous actions. Uh, what this is now creating is a new set of questions. What happens when an agent makes a mistake? Who's responsible when things go wrong? Or are our current security practices enough? Today, we'll explore these questions from two perspectives: a technical security lens and a liability, governance, and insurance lens. Today, we have with us Noshad and Varshil. Noshad is a director at Acorian, an information security expert for 15 years with rich experience in executing application security. Varshil is the CEO and co founder of Olive. He's building a risk and a liability infrastructure for AI agents. Noshad, it's great to have you here today. Could you quickly introduce yourself and share the kind of AI security work you're seeing with the customers?
Thanks, Purvish, for the introduction, and happy to be here. Um, my name is Naushad. I have around 15 plus years of experience in cybersecurity. In the past 15 years, I've been working on application security, cloud security, network security, and DevSecOps. For the last couple of years, we have also started working on AI security extensively. At Korean, we are doing a lot of work around AI chatbot testing, AI assurance, and then we are also looking at MCP and then other AI related testing. So I lead the practice here for AI security testing. And today I'll be talking more on the security testing side of AI security. And also we're looking at how this is different from a traditional pen testing and other activities.
Great, great. Thanks, Noshad. It's good to have you here. Varshil, would love to get yourself introduced and share how you're thinking about AI liability and risk from the perspective of startups, enterprises, and insurers you've been interacting with.
Thanks, Purvish. Good to be here, guys. Just to quickly introduce myself, I'm the CEO of Olive. We are building the risk assessment and governance platform for AI. The idea being that as AI agents go from just being chatbots or copilots to agents that are autonomously doing tasks for us, talking to customers, the liability that they carry is increasing. We're trying to understand, measure, and then ensure this liability that AI agents carry as work moves from humans to AI agents. Um, I come from a financial services background, started out in investment banking, was a tech investment banker with Kotak, and then was an investor in early stage AI companies. So I worked with a VC firm which invested in US India cross border startups, mainly in AI. So I worked with a whole bunch of AI startups and seen their early journeys, seen how companies are thinking about building AI agents, deploying AI agents, and also how they're thinking about testing and governance around these AI agents. So yeah, that's what we're trying to build at Olive.
Great. Thanks, Varshil. We'll dive right in. We have a great discussion ahead in front of us. The first topic we have is about what makes AI risk different from a traditional software risk. The first question for you, Varshil, before we get into testing and insurance, let's define the problem. What makes this AI risk different from traditional software risk, especially when AI is moving from copilots to agents?
Yeah, I think the big headline here, and I'm sure many of you here who use AI agents probably know this. The big headline is that AI agents are riskier than just pure software. Traditional software was a little bit more deterministic. You knew that a certain kind of input would always give the same output. With AI systems, these are more probabilistic or non-deterministic, which means that AI agents can generate outputs that are unexpected or make decisions or take actions that are unauthorized. Um, they're also now interacting a lot more with the end customer. So risks like hallucinations, bias, or leaking data, misusing data, some kind of prompt injection attacks are more likely and probably much higher in the financial liability that they now carry. And as you know, co-pilots which had a human in the loop aspect, these are now going into fully autonomous agents, which means that the control or oversight you have on these AI agents is very different compared to traditional software. Um, and it's not just about downtime or getting hacked. It's about what your agents are doing or essentially how they're behaving in real time with your customers.
Right. And a follow-up for you, Noshad, here from a security testing standpoint, how does this change the way teams need to evaluate AI applications?
Sorry, I was talking on mute. Like Varshil said, right? The AI applications are different from the traditional applications, where now AI applications are more probabilistic than the deterministic approach which we had, right? So the issues we used to focus when we used to do pen test an application was more on SQL injection, XSS, and CSR of authentication authorization, and it was more focused on code vulnerabilities and then misconfigurations and at the network layer, right? Now, when it comes to AI applications, we still need to look at those parameters, but we also have a lot of runtime behavior which we have to look at. One is being prompt injection and how the model is behaving based on different type of prompts. And then if you have AI agents working with applications, then we have to look at how the permissions are given to those AI agents, how the tools are called, and how the orchestration level is currently handled, right? All these things are not something new which we are looking at on top of what we used to do as traditional pen testing. So now we also have additional components apart from the model and the prompts engineering. We have API calls, we have MCP servers, we have to look at different deployment architecture as well. So from a security testing standpoint, we have multiple attack surfaces increased compared to before.
Got it. Got it. Thanks for sharing that, Noshad. Moving the conversation from security to now the big elephant in the room about liability. What happens when an agent makes a mistake? Let's address that directly. Uh, this is a question for you, Varshil. When an AI system causes harm or makes a business critical mistake, who is likely to be held responsible?
Yeah, I think the liability or the regulatory landscape is evolving here, right? A lot of regulators, states are still figuring out what is the right way to govern AI. Today, most of the liability actually comes in terms of lawsuits. There are about, in the US alone, more than 2,000 open lawsuits that are against AI agents or AI applications or AI systems. Here again, the landscape is changing. There was a case against Air Canada a couple of years ago. Air Canada had an AI customer support agent which actually promised a incorrect fare to a passenger. The passenger obviously accepted the fare. It was a highly discounted fare. Air Canada later refused to honor the fare, and the passengers sued Air Canada. The Canadian court found that Air Canada was 100% responsible for what its AI agent said, and it would have to honor the fare that the agent promised and also pay out a settlement, a legal settlement to the passenger. Here, what they missed is that Air Canada was actually using an AI company that built the application for Air Canada. Air Canada was not the technology behind this. What happened here is the model builder, so the model provider, which could be OpenAI or Anthropic in this case, the application developer, which could be any AI company that's building on top of these models, which then sold to Air Canada. None of those people in the ecosystem actually were liable. It was Air Canada completely. However, this is also now changing. What we are seeing more and more in the last 1 year is companies like Air Canada are actually shifting the liability back to the application builders. So the model providers are usually more immune. They kind of indemnify themselves. So it's usually the application developers that will then you know get a notice from their customer, which is Air Canada in this case, saying that your agent caused this liability and you need to either indemnify me, insure it, or provide some kind of assurance against it.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. And Naushad, from the enterprise security side, does this change how buyers are evaluating AI vendors before deployment?
Yeah, from my experience from our recent customer engagements, and what we understand is the enterprises are taking third-party risk assessment and management a little more serious for AI vendors now. So they want to understand before they are committing to any any activities. They want to understand how what data the AI can touch, what systems it can access, and what actions it can take, right? And also moving towards evidences than security questionnaire based activity. So typically they want to see the security testing reports, they want to see monitoring and how it is incident response is handled by the party who is going to give them the AI application.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. Uh, but we are also increasingly seeing that organizations are applying the same diligence to AI deployments that they apply to software. Uh, so can you help us understand what should that new diligence look like, and where are these existing playbooks falling short?
So from a traditional deployment, or when applications are moved to production, right? Either they used to have a periodic pen testing activity done, just they move the releases to the production before, or if they are little mature in terms of DevSecOps, there might be an architecture review done initially, and then there might be a threat modeling done, and then after that there will be a code review done in the CI/CD pipeline, and there might be pen testing done before deployment, right? That is still has to be continued in AI era as well. But apart from that, the runtime behavioral testing, which is aligned to security testing, they'll have to follow the standards like OWASP top 10 for LLMs, OWASP top 10 for agentic AI. If they're using MCP servers, right? There is a new standard coming up from OWASP, which is OWASP top 10 for MCP servers, right? All these thing has to be hygiene, and then has to be a part of the deployment process for production applications. Apart from that, I think um, one thing which I think I can take an example of testing we have done. So, for example, we did pen testing for one of our customers' MCP server, and from pen testing, that was a black box pen testing, which we didn't have much access to the backend logs or data. But when we did the pen testing, there was no prompt injection. We were not able to even find vulnerabilities related to system prompt leakage or similar to that. But we tried doing some indirect prompt injection in the application, but that got triggered. But we didn't come to know from the application. But in the backend, the agent was able to, the MCP server was able to make calls to their internal systems, and then that actually triggered a chain of action. Once we asked our customers to go and check their backend logs, then only we could realize that the action was malicious, and then it could also be escalated by attackers. If so, I think that added value when we approach our customer and ask them to do a gray box and then check the backend systems, and it added value to them as well to secure their MCP server.
Got it. Got it. And Varshil, from your perspective, are companies actually doing this level of diligence today? Where are they in their maturity curve?
I think most of the AI adoption today is, companies working with smaller startups that are building these AI applications, AI agents. So I'll talk about my experience, both having, an investor and board member in some of these AI companies, and then also working with one of them later in my career. I think the maturity is quite low. Still, the maturity is still early. The sophistication is quite low, and it's expected, right? Given that how early we are in this AI cycle, people are still figuring out how to build these things, how to build the right agents, how to get them to do the task more accurately and more efficiently, rather than thinking about what are the security, regulatory, and legal um, overheads or financial risks that they might be running. Um, a lot of companies that we have seen actually do this diligence as a vibe check. It's more of some of their product teams actually just looking at a few outputs or results of their AI agents, their AI applications, and saying that it looks okay. We are trying to build a little bit more rigor and more comprehensive tests and assessments into this AI building process, agent building process. This is pre-deployment. But what you need to understand is these agents are so volatile and changing so quickly that you need to continuously observe and monitor how these agents are behaving. Are they now suddenly acting differently than they were because the underlying model was updated? Or some of the new tools were added, some new context data was added. So I think there needs to be more rigor both in pre-deployment testing and then runtime or continuous monitoring of these agents.
Got it. Got it. A follow-up to Naushad on this. Uh, a lot of people ask whether an AI application should be pen tested before production. Is this a right question, or should companies now start thinking more broadly about AI assurances as well?
So, uh, for any application, right, in the AI era now, it has to be tested before production. Pen testing is big, yes, right? But from a coverage standpoint, so it has to be done in multiple aspects. For example, now if you have an AI chatbot, for example, right? So from an application security standpoint, the chatbot has to be tested. It has to be pen tested. Maybe we can look at the code and architecture of that chatbot. That's one layer. Second is the chatbot. How is it deployed? If it is deployed in AWS or any other cloud infrastructure, then how is it configured? Is it hardened? Are there any misconfigurations? So cloud and infrastructure security will be second layer. And third is if the application has any agentic calls or it is given any tool call access, right? How the identity and access management is done in the application. So we have to look at multiple aspect to ensure that it is basically an assurance program where we have multiple aspects of cybersecurity is covered, and we ensure that the application is deployed safely.
Got it. Got it. And Varshil, a question for you over here in terms of compliances, right? We've typically seen there are a ton of compliances that vendors have to go through to build trust with their end enterprise customers. Are current compliances enough to build that necessary trust when it comes to AI adoption?
Yeah, I think compliance frameworks have historically lagged innovation, right? And in AI, it's even more true, just because of the pace at which AI is the technology is moving. That being said, there are a few compliance frameworks that are coming up. ISO 42001 and 42005 are kind of are the AI specific compliance frameworks that have recently been introduced. However, two things, right? One is they are still lagging or do not fully cover the risks that AI agents carry and how volatile or how dynamic these AI agents are. They're more point-in-time assessments that an enterprise can run as a one-time activity. But secondly, and more importantly, there isn't um, a well accepted or a common framework that everyone has built consensus on as being the compliance framework or the governance framework for AI. I think we're also at Olive launching something called Olive Risk Labs, and we want to do primary research with some of the best leaders in security, in AI research, in AI alignment research, and application builders and users to actually come up with the framework and the method to test and govern these agents better. We believe that the answer is more empirical because these AI agents are so dynamic. We need to have, rather than point in time assessments, we need to have a framework that continuously observes the behavior of these AI agents, continuously looks at improving these AI agents or making these agents more safe as they keep evolving and changing and adding more complexity to themselves.
Right, right. And I think that is a great segue to the next section of the webinar, which is now going beyond production. So we spoke at long on how things should be pre-production, how do you build trust with the enterprise customers. Nashad, I'd love to touch a little bit upon what next. Pre-production testing is important, but AI systems can really behave differently once they are live. How should companies monitor whether an AI system is still behaving safely in production?
So production monitoring is a very critical activity which needs to be done. So once the application is in production, right, we need to ensure that there are certain factors already logged and monitored. So usually when you take, for example, if it's a AI agent that interacts with your Salesforce or any similar application. So if you just log the outcome which is coming back and the initial prompt, so we wouldn't know the exact activities done by the agent if there are any attempts happened from a cybersecurity standpoint, right? So we need to have prompts, thoughts, and outputs logged. We need to also have tools and tool calls being logged, API usage, data access, unusual user behavior, and if there was any guardrail bypass attempt happened, and if there was any data access which is categorized as sensitive data, and if was there any privilege escalation attempted, all these activities needs to be monitored and logged, and log needs to be designed so that if something goes wrong, we will be able to trace back and investigate the incidents, right? And if there is any human in loop is available, then we need to ensure that it is being also logged. Ideally, there should also be incident response procedure and policy in place for AI-specific failures as well.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. Yeah. And maybe a question for you, Varshil, here is how does all of this matter when it comes to liability and insurances?
Yeah, I think the simple answer is that testing or QA. So I'm talking about the pre-AI world. Testing, QA, compliance, and insurance are all they're all a combination that enterprises need. It's not an either or. So you don't typically replace testing or QA with insurance. Insurance is not um, uh, uh, an opportunity to be reckless with how you build your AI systems, but it's something that you get in addition to rigorous testing and having compliance. So most companies today, in a pre-AI setting, would have a QA team, or a testing team, a SOC 2, ISO, GDPR compliance certification, and then also a cyber insurance and errors and omissions insurance and a general liability insurance. It should be it should it or it would be very similar for the AI world as well. So you will have evals, which is the testing or QA in equivalent. You will have compliances or certifications or some kind of audits that AI companies will be required to do. And then finally, for whatever the residual risk is, or whatever risk is still there that you cannot completely avoid, given these are probabilistic systems, you would insure those. Um, but I think there is going to be more and more awareness about insurance as we progress. Enterprises are now starting to get more wary of the liability or the harmful outputs that AI agents are capable of as they start more experimenting with AI more and more. Um, and then naturally, the question that follows that is who picks up the tab when AI makes a mistake, and are you insured? Are you first audited, and then are you insured when it comes to these new risks that have not been seen before with respect to AI agents?
Got it. And since you mentioned insurance so many times, maybe we'll double click a little bit more there. Uh, Most of the companies already have a lot of insurances, right? So there is cyber insurance, there is a technology E&O, there are D&O insurances. Why might those policies not fully cover AI-related failures?
Yeah, I think so. If you think about these traditional insurance policies, right? Let's take them one by one. Cyber insurance. This was designed, obviously, has been in existence for more than 20 years now. Well, almost 20 years now, and it typically covers a third-party external threat actor trying to infiltrate your system or trying to gain access to your data, or sort of inject a virus or a bug into your system. So it's always a third party attacker that needs to be malicious intent. And AI systems don't always have liability from malicious intent or adversarial intent. AI agents can just make mistakes when a innocent user is interacting with the agent. And these are hallucinations that we all have probably experienced. Um, the next one you mentioned was ENO, right? Errors and omissions insurance. This is typically the something that software companies have, and or even professional services companies have, and these are typically insured for or insured against human negligence or software mistakes, software errors. So software downtime, SLA breaches, any kind of mistakes in your software, which are again deterministic systems, would get covered under ENO. Your profession under professional services, your employees making a mistake and causing a liability would get covered under ENO insurance. None of these insurance products were actually underwritten uh, with AI in mind. These were designed 15 years ago, 20 years ago, even longer, and did not really do the math for what AI risk would look like, or did not account for the expected loss for what an AI error would look like, which is why we exist, right? The question that we're trying to answer is how do you build this measurement layer or measurement tool for AI mistakes? And then as a result, how do you underwrite this risk and make sure that when AI agents make a mistake, this becomes the financial protection or the financial backstop for you. And this is going to become a discussion point when enterprises are adopting AI. They're going to ask their vendors for two things, right? Are your agents tested? Which is why we have something called an Olive Trust Score. This is a score that we give your agents after rigorous tests. So we run thousands of tests on your AI agents. We simulate the behavior of this AI agent and assign a trust score to it. And then the next step would be, you scored a 90 on 100 on your assessment. What about the 10% of cases that did not go through, which is likely to happen? For those 10% cases, we have insurance that would financially still cover these enterprises.
Got it. And Noshad, from your perspective, how should security and risk teams think about insurance when it comes to testing?
So from a security standpoint, insurance should not be seen as substitute for security, right? So ideal sequence of activity should be first you identify the risk and then reduce the risk through controls and then testing the applications in your environment, ensuring that everything is contained and safe and secure. Then you also ensure that all the activities are monitored in production so that if something goes wrong, you have a way to either get alerts or you're able to contain using incident response. Then finally, transfer the remaining residual risk through insurance. That should be the ideal sequence of activities. So security, compliance, and insurance should work together and ensure that the risk is the least amount.
Okay, got it. Uh, Now, shifting your gears a little to more actionables and less on discussions, what do you think the companies should be doing for the next 90 days, right? So, companies that are developing these AI agents, deploying your enterprises, uh, and this is maybe something that Nosad you can take up first, is what are these practical steps in your experience the company should be taking for the next 90 days?
So I think first is definitely identifying where is AI used across the organization. So ideally, if you have internal applications, you get an asset inventory where you know which all AI applications are approved and being used inside the organization. Identify what systems and data and tools this AI can access, and review permissions and access controls. uh, do a control AI specific testing before production for your applications, and implement monitoring. Also, I think doing a assurance program like we do at Aquarium, where you have a 360 coverage of your application, can be done through Aquarium, where you have architecture review, you have code reviews done, you have pen testing done, you have gray box pen testing done, and then you have infrastructure also tested against, and then the final pen testing done to have complete coverage your application.
Got it. And Varshil, same question for you. What should companies developing AI agents should be doing in the next 90 days?
Yeah, so like Naushad said, set up testing and observability for your AI agents. That's number one. Second is from a risk and compliance perspective, think about all of the regulations, federal, state laws that apply to your agent, all of the different compliance frameworks that your agents need to adhere to, all of the contractual obligations that you have agreed to with your customers or your vendors or your partners are followed by the agent. The next thing is get a way to simulate simulate or do evaluations of your AI agent against scenarios that would cause some of these regulations or laws to be violated by your AI agent and cause a lawsuit or a regulatory investigation or at the very least an awkward conversation with your customer. Um, Review all of the controls and permissions, like Naushad said, the identity and access management for your AI agents and the access controls for the tools that it has access to. Conduct these tests before you deploy any AI agent into production. Then set up monitoring and logging so that you're continuously looking at what your agents are doing with customers in production, how they're behaving or interacting, and if there's anything suspicious, you need to flag that and make sure that some of these um, are looked at and improved. The other thing I would say is review your contracts, and this is something I see startups make mistakes with. Review your contracts, look at what kind of indemnity when it comes to AI mistakes have you given your customers. Is there a limitations of liability clause that you have? Check your insurance policy. See whether AI agents or AI caused risks are included or excluded in your insurance policy, and whether you are covered for all of these new risks that you're now undertaking when you are deploying AI agents. If that sounds like a lot, just shoot me an email and we can help you out with it.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Nosad and Varshil. Moving to the last phase of our webinar, we have a short rapid fire round. Uh, so there are four rapid fire questions. I'll go around the table once, first with Noshad and later with Varshil. Uh, the idea is to shoot an answer as soon as possible, not thinking too much into it. So let me know when you guys are ready. Noshad, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
good.
So the first question is for you, Noshad. What is one AI security mistake you see teams making repeatedly?
I see a lot of AI applications coming with too much access and too less of testing done.
Wow. And Varshil, what is one AI security mistake you see teams making repeatedly?
Yeah, similar. I would say they treat evals as a vibe check rather than a thorough process to follow.
Got it. Uh, Noshad, what is one AI liability mistake startups make when selling to enterprises?
So I think it's again, over promising the AI capabilities and without actually verifying it themselves.
Okay. And Varshil, what's the one liability
Yeah.
mistake?
Yeah, agreeing to unlimited liability in certain cases in their customer contracts.
Okay, that's huge. Noshad, what is one AI risk that is still underestimated?
I would say indirect prompt injections, and I think direct as well.
Okay. And Varshil, what is one AI risk that's still underestimated?
Yeah, I think unlike human error, if your AI agents are not built correctly, the same mistake can happen over and over and at scale. So you're actually more likely to get into a class action lawsuit with AI agents.
Got it. Noshad, what is one thing enterprise buyers will increasingly ask AI vendors for?
I think they're going to ask evidences for their security testing done and what kind of security controls they have in place.
Okay. And Varshil, what is one thing you think
Yeah,
enterprise buyers will ask
no,
for?
fully agree with Naushad here. But in addition to that, probably, higher indemnity limits and probably an insurance cover in case something still goes wrong.
Got it. Got it. Thank you, Noshad and Varshil. That brings us to the end of the discussion, but we have an audience Q&A. Uh, would love the attendees to share their questions, share their thoughts. We have a lovely panel here who can answer them. We have a question from Swapin to start with. So Swapin is asking for insurers pricing AI liability. What are they asking companies to produce to prove what the AI did? Is there a standard for admissible AI decision evidence yet, or is it ad hoc? Uh,
Yeah, I can
Bashir, Noshad.
probably, yeah,
Yeah.
I can probably take that, right? Um, maybe I'll answer your second question first. Is there a standard for admissible AI decision evidence? Yet there isn't. Many, and to answer your first question, insurers pricing AI liability. So to be very honest with you, insurers are still figuring out how to price AI liability. In fact, a lot of them have started excluding AI liability for the time being while they figure out how to price this correctly. So what we are seeing today is more on exclusions of AI risks coming into general liability policies than pricing. In terms of how we are thinking about doing it, that is through evals, right? So we think that we can test these AI agents to estimate the behavior and the risky behavior of the AI agent. So we run, like I said, thousands of simulations, and based on the results of the simulations, we try and estimate how often these AI agents might fail. And then in terms of the decision evidence, for now we're relying on the auditable agent logs and traces that you might already be collecting from your observability stack. So we look at the logs and on all of the metadata in your agent logs before we well, that then translates into a standard that we're developing. So maybe more on that once we launch.
Yeah. Nishad, you have any additional pointers to this?
No, no, I'm good. I think that's an expert area for worship.
Got it. Yeah. Maybe the second one is for you. So Swapin again asks, we talk about securing and testing AI before deployment, but when the harm happens and it goes to discovery or a claim, the question becomes prove what agent decided and that the record wasn't altered. Who owns the evidentiary record today and is it built to survive a challenge, not just a review?
So I think the monitoring piece comes into picture here when if you are the person who's using a third party model, right? For example, let's say we are accessing an application, we have an agentic chatbot or agentic application deployed by a vendor, and they're using Bedrock for their models, right? Now if the agent has hallucinated and made some decisions which is not secure, right? Only way to identify that is through the guardrails logs and I think the logging which we have done in the application layer. So what changes or what actually makes the decision here is the logging and monitoring part. So the responsibility again still goes to the person who has written the AI agent and how it has been the guardrails written against it. So if the logs can prove that, then that would be the definite evidence for making a decision around it.
Yeah, I think maybe I can add here, right? So, Soham, firstly, great questions, both of them. I think you're kind of thinking or asking the right questions. Um, and this is very pertinent because AI agents are, inherently known as black boxes. So who really and there are some explainability frameworks that are coming up, but who really truly knows what happened inside that black box, and therefore what was the decision that the AI agent made, and was it tampered with, was it altered? Which is why I think it's very important as an insurer or a claims processor to be embedded inside the AI agent, have continuous feeds of the agent logs and traces, which are auditable and notarized. Um, Essentially, think of it as a time-stamped agent log that and you can trust, which is what is then used to evidence for when a claim arises. Um, so yeah, I think the logs, the agent logs and traces are kind of key to also distinguish between a legitimate and a fraudulent claim.
Yep. Thanks for sharing that, Rashil. Thanks for sharing that, Nushad. Uh, we don't have any more questions. This brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks, Rashil. Thanks, Nushad, for your time.